Hey friends, welcome to the Links to Messiah podcast. My name's Rachel Kushner, and this is where we explore the Jewish roots of our faith and create family traditions that point straight to Jesus. Let's get started. Welcome back to the podcast. You can tell that my voice is still not quite back to its normal sound. I've been dealing with pneumonia for the last couple of weeks, but I am so happy to be back. And today's podcast episode is exciting because it's an interview. It's a conversation that I think you're going to really enjoy. It's extra special because we're talking about one of my favorite things to share with families, and that is the connection between Passover and Jesus. I'm so excited to be joined by Rene Annette Wallace. She's the author of a beautiful children's book called Zoe Discovers Passover at Easter. Her book is actually featured in this year's Links to Messiah Passover Family Boxes. And what I love about it, it does a wonderful job of helping kids to understand the deeper story behind Easter by exploring the Passover roots of our faith. So in today's conversation, we'll talk about how families can make Passover meaningful and how storytelling helps children to connect to Scripture and why these traditions can really become powerful moments of faith right around your family's table. Rene, I am so glad you're here. Welcome to the show. Your book, Zoe Discovers Passover at Easter, is featured in this year's Passover Family Activity Box. So, we've had a conversation before on the podcast, so I appreciate you coming back. Lots of questions for you about, of course, Passover, because that's a big, exciting holiday that we are coming into.
Yeah, it's a big, exciting holiday. I have to say, I'm super honored to be here and so grateful for your work in helping to share the information about Passover to my 3 grandchildren this year. I've already got pictures from my daughter and my son unpacking the boxes.
Beautiful.
And it's just so exciting. I'm so happy and I'm so grateful. So thank you for the work that you do.
Well, thank you. I was so delighted. Woke up one morning and I saw an email. I was like, all these orders from you. I'm like, what is going on? Well, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you sharing that with your family. It's exciting. And what's been really cool is I've had a lot of grandparents that have come into my world who want to share this with their grandkids. So it's super, super exciting. So you wrote this beautiful book. Can you give us a little bit of background? Remind me how and why you started writing these books.
Well, the first thing you probably should know is that I'm not Jewish, but I love and appreciate the Jewish people.
Right.
And so, but I noticed that other Christians don't have the same feeling all the time. And I want to connect the church and the Jewish people. Whether or not those Jewish people follow Messiah or not, I just want to be a support. I want to be a partner, with Israel. So I obtained a master's degree in Messianic Jewish theology. And after that, I thought I would write a fancy treatise on Messianic theology for Christians, and I would debunk all the, replacement theology. I thought I was going to do all this heady work. And it turned out instead, the Lord said through a very special person, my mentor, she said, why don't you write a children's book? So I said, Lord, if you want me to write a children's book about Passover, you're going to have to help me. So I took a pad, a spiral, and I said, Lord, what is the story? And he literally downloaded that book to me in a half an hour.
Are you kidding?
I'm not kidding.
Wow.
And so then, of course, the illustrations, I hired the company to do the illustrations, and we got the book onto Amazon.
That is so cool.
Yeah,
I love that you we're going to do this whole incredible intellectual dissertation. Not that your books are not intellectual, because they are. You sneak a lot of really amazing theology into your stories.
I hope so. So it was a little bit different than what I planned. Isn't that how the Lord does things, though? It's not
Totally.
the way we plan it. I know you and I have experienced loss in our life and very
Yes.
close to our hearts. And it isn't the way we thought it was going to go, right? But yet we see God's hand even in the recovery and the grief and the moving forward and the memories. All of that is just such a blessing. And as we walk in gratitude, and I think gratitude is the key, don't you?
Yeah. It's
Gratitude
huge.
really helps you to be grounded in everything that God is doing for us right now and
Mm,
has done in the past. And that is a big part, I think, of what Passover is gratitude. And for the church to recognize the gratitude of the legacy that Israel has given us through keeping the Passover, through hanging on to the Torah, the Older Testament, to keeping everything moving along and to eventually bringing us, of course, Yeshua the Messiah. So, I mean, I'm grateful.
I'm grateful too. And it's really hard to hold gratitude and grief in the same breath,
Mhm.
but I'm learning to do that. So I
Yes,
appreciate you
yes,
saying that. So yes, but that brings us right into Passover. Grateful heart can
yes.
bring us right there. So talk to me about what Passover, why does it still matter for us today? Yes.
Every part of God's story matters. How God interacts with Israel in the Older Testament reflects his love and grace and mercy. You know, some people think the Old Testament is works and law, and they have it all wrong. They haven't read it and seeing how God over and over again expresses his unconditional love and redemption for Israel. And Exodus and Passover is just one of those examples, but it's a big one.
That's right. That's right.
So to fully understand God's character in relationship, because his first relationship is with
Mm,
Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So to
mm,
understand God's character in relationship, we have to examine his unconditional, never-ending love for Israel. And we might be in a dark place, and you and I know about being in dark places. But when we
yes.
call on God, he meets us there in his timing, and he is our rescuer. I mean,
Mm,
if we think about it, Israel was enslaved for 400 years. They probably got to the point where they didn't think God was ever going to bring them out of that bondage.
yeah. 400 years is a long time.
It's a very long time. And we also want to remember, and this is a big part of Passover to me, is that the slaves could do absolutely nothing to,
Mm,
to redeem themselves. They had no power, they had no strength, and no influence. So only God could rescue them. And that's a great picture of our redemption, all of us worldwide. We
sure
can do
is.
nothing to affect our salvation. Our redemption is all in God's hands. And
Yeah.
they just had to walk the path that God said, this is the way you go. You put the blood on the door,
Mm,
everything that Passover was.
yeah.
Everything that you do those things, and then you will be redeemed. And we have to follow what God says. So that's why I think it's
Beautiful.
very important that Christian families today know that about Passover and experience that, because they are experiencing God's heart and God's character in such a real, tangible way.
Yeah, for sure. I love that you said God's a rescuer because that's something that as I've been, preparing these boxes and thinking about Passover, that is like yes, of course, it is the theme of Passover, but God being like our personal rescuer is something that has just really meant a lot to me in the recent
Yeah.
days. So I love that you said that and how God worked that out. That's really cool. It's like, "Okay, I hear you, Lord. Thank you. I hear you." So tell me, what do you hope that children will feel as they read through your beautiful book?
Thank you. I actually hope that parents and the children, when they're reading the book together, or I just heard that one of my older granddaughters, who's like
Mhm.
8, read the whole book to my younger granddaughter, who's
I
4.
love it. I love that. Hey, that's awesome.
Let's talk about a dream come true, right? So I
Right. No
hope the
kidding. That is a
children
real family legacy that you are
thank you,
leaving.
hallelujah. I hope that parents and children giggle a little bit because I tried to put some funny elements in, just to
Yeah.
make it a fun story. And
Yes.
having, the laughter of children, isn't it the best? And I hope that they share the story with their friends. And I hope
Yes.
Christian children, probably most of all, I hope Christian children see the Jewish people as beloved brothers and sisters, whether or not they follow Messiah, whether or not these Jewish brothers and sisters follow Messiah, that one family, because we would have nothing as the church, as believers in Jesus or Yeshua. We have nothing without the Jewish people. And to write them off, as some people are doing today, as irrelevant or other
Right.
more
Yeah.
negative connotations, is so wrong. And it's not God's heart.
That is well stated. Very well stated.
So I'd like to share with you where I see Jesus most clearly in the Passover story.
Please.
I see Jesus. There are 4 cups in the Passover story for those who don't know the whole story or the whole Seder, because we don't know if there were 4 cups in Jesus' time or not. We don't know that for sure. But now, in today's Passover tradition, there are 4 cups of wine, 4 times that you drink. And the modern Seder provides the 3rd cup after dinner, called the cup of redemption. And also, at the very, very end, the afikomen, which is a Greek word that means something coming in from being hidden away. So we have the cup, the 3rd cup being called the cup of redemption. And, I will redeem you, said the Lord.
Yes.
And then the afikomen coming up, it's a piece of matzah that's wrapped up and coming back, almost like coming up out of a tomb. So those are general themes. And I plan to be doing, by the way, I've scheduled a Passover Seder in my neighborhood,
Great.
and I plan to do a completely traditional Seder. And I'm only going to insert a couple of New Testament verses. And I'm
Hmm.
calling it a Passover for Jews and Christians because I
Love it.
want,
Yes.
there are Jewish people in this community. There's
Mm.
no synagogue here. There's nothing for them. And I want to
Oh,
provide a Passover Seder for them that they're
wow.
comfortable coming to.
Amazing.
So I'm
That's
hoping that,
incredible.
and
Yeah.
so I don't want to make it like a messianic Seder, where
Mhm.
everything has got that's what I did last year
Right.
or the year before. So this time I think I want to do something that's authentically Jewish as a gift to the Jewish community.
That's
And
beautiful,
so
Renee.
we'll
Well, and as you do that, when you get to that 3rd cup and that afikomen, what you will be able to share
yes.
is I want to say that is probably my favorite part of the Seder that you
Yes,
mentioned.
especially the 3rd cup.
Oh, that 3rd cup, and as you were speaking, I was envisioning my family at my dining room table when I was a kid, and I could see my dad at the head of the table and my mom sitting right next to him and holding up that piece of matzah, that afikomen, and that 3rd cup of redemption. It is just so impactful, isn't it?
It is. I've heard it say too, I don't know if this is relevant, but I've also noted here that the angel of death that was going through during Exodus did not ask who was in the house, but looked for the blood on the door. If the
That's
blood
right.
was on the door, it could have been Israelites or Hebrews and some Egyptian friends they might have had, or it could have
That's right.
just been, Hebrews. But the angel didn't ask. The angel said, "Is the blood there?" And if the blood was there, they moved on, and
That's right.
no one died in that house. So that's
It's
pretty
the
cool.
blood that saves us. Absolutely. So, why do you feel it's important for parents to tell the story at home?
Well, I think we've forgotten this, but parents have a sacred duty to communicate God's principles to their children. And I think, to be honest, I think the Jewish people have a better handle on this than Christians, because Christians, they just don't have the door, generation to generation concept.
Right.
So, but and today, of course, it can be difficult because of work,
Sure.
volunteering, sports, extracurricular activities. It can be really difficult. This story and your Passover boxes make it easier to teach about God's saving power for Israel and for all of us. And so
Yeah.
these kinds of tools help us to focus in on what's important to our children and to our grandchildren, for example. I'm so glad I was able to And anyway, I'm just so excited that I was able to send those boxes to my kids, my
It's
grandkids,
so sweet. Yeah,
and that my
that's awesome.
children were excited about it. When I texted them, "Hey, I'm thinking about sending this," and
Uh-huh.
and they were like, "Yes, yes, yes." So I'm very excited.
I love it. I'm very excited. That enthusiasm just sprinkles on down. So, if a family is opening their Passover box this year and reading that book together as a family, what would you encourage them to do beyond just reading that book?
Well, I know that your boxes have the contents in your beautiful boxes have so many tactile, touching,
Yes,
speaking, hearing, listening,
right.
everything is there. If they don't have one of your boxes, I'm very sorry for them. But if they have one of your boxes, they need to be having the box open and looking at all the elements while they're reading the book so they can identify. But if they
Yes,
don't,
absolutely.
sadly, if they don't have one of your boxes, then they should at least buy a box of matzah to share the
Mm,
taste of the matzah.
yeah,
And going a step further, make a little mini Seder plate, a little plate
mhm,
with all the different tastes,
love it.
because foods help us celebrate and remember. And that's one of the great things about Jewish tradition. So
Mhm,
foods help us celebrate and remember, and adding taste to the taste of the
mhm,
different foods to each of the
yeah,
steps helps us to hear and really internalize the lessons of God's redemption and God's power and God's love. So
yeah, I
that's what I
agree.
recommend. Yeah, adding them.
Well, and that's one of the things that I love about Jewish holidays. We are sitting around the table almost all of the time and celebrating somehow. We're eating some food. It's like it's a full immersion experience,
Uh-huh.
just as you described, because we're eating, right? So we're tasting, we're listening, we're hearing music, we're reading, we're doing all these different things, and it's affecting every sense. That's one of, like, I think as a teacher, that's one of the things I love about these boxes because it does hit on every sense. And I think, like, just as you said, that is so memorable. When we think back on our childhoods and we think of different family experiences, almost always there's food involved somehow.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, food or music or something
Yeah, the
something
music is awesome.
getting the senses going. One of my
Yeah.
favorite memories is my mom playing her favorite singer and she and I just belting out the songs together.
Love
It's
it.
just
Yes.
doing fun, just having time with your
Yeah.
parents and having that, like you said, sensory experiences.
Yeah. Having fun, learning,
Mhm.
growing in our walk with the Lord. I mean, that's really what it's all about, like
Yeah.
passing down that legacy to our family.
Amen.
Renee, where can people connect with you and find you?
My website is 3 words put together, entertheblessings.com. Or you can search my name, Rene Annette Wallace, on Amazon for my books.
Well, you are a delight and you bring so much to the table with your knowledge and background and information. And I
Mm.
really appreciate it because you are able to disseminate your information in a way that's very easy to consume. Like reading your book just makes Passover come alive. So I'm excited for
How
people to read
wonderful.
it.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm
So
Zoe.
thank you.
I'm the Zoe. I used to have blonde hair, but it's really kind of gray now.
That's funny. Yeah. Zoe's the main character. So, okay, I'll read those differently now. I'll say
Okay. Just
Zoe
remember,
equals
I'm the
Renee.
little Christian Zoe girl.
Yeah, I love
Learning
it.
about the holidays has been a huge blessing in my life, and really the depth of my understanding of who God is and who Jesus is has really changed because of the blessing of being connected to the Jewish community.
That is a perfect way to end because that's really what this is all about. Links to
Amen.
Messiah, what you're doing. Yeah. So that's beautiful. Thank you for your time today, Renee.
Rachel, God bless you.
Thank you. Thanks for joining me today. Don't forget to head over to linkstoMessiah.com, where we have a lot of free resources, seasonal boxes, and an ever-growing digital library. We are here to help your family connect with the Jewish roots of our faith and the Messiah, Jesus.